It's all about the carrots. Once upon a time, in a grand wild forest, there lived a little brown rabbit named Hopper. The forest was a wonder, thick and full of secrets. Tall trees wove their branches into a leafy green roof, letting sunshine sprinkle golden dots on the moss and ferns below. Little streams giggled as they danced between rocks, and the wind whispered through the leaves like it was sharing old tales. At night, owls hooted deep in the shadows, while by day, squirrels zipped around like rusty red lightning bolts. Under a mighty oak, nestled among its twisty roots, Hopper had his burrow. Small but cozy, lined with moss and one fluffy feather he'd found and treasured like a prize. One morning, Hopper woke up with a tummy that growled like a tiny thundercloud. Breakfast time, he thought, stretching out on his comfy bed of moss. Usually he munched on juicy clover, crisp dandelion leaves, or sweet berries he plucked from bushes, dodging prickly thorns. But today he wanted something extra special. Out he hopped from his burrow, scampering off to a forest clearing where the tall grass swayed with the breeze and wildflowers seemed to wink at him. Hopper looked around, his nose twitching for a tasty treat. The sun warmed the clearing, painting it with a golden glow, when suddenly a scent so delicious floated by that he froze mid-hop. His paws carried him toward the smell as if by magic, and there, peeking out from thick ferns and giant burdock leaves, stood a plump carrot with a leafy top that shimmered in the sunlight like an emerald crown. Hopper squeaked with delight. A carrot? Here? In the middle of the forest? He gasped. Carrots belonged on farmers' fields, not in wild woods. But since he was a rabbit, and rabbits love carrots more than squirrels love nuts, he didn't waste a second. A dream breakfast, he cheered, grabbing the leafy top. He tugged and tugged, puffing like a little steam engine. The carrot wouldn't budge. Hopper planted his paws firmly, gritted his teeth, and yanked with all his might. Pop! The ground gave way, and he tumbled backward, clutching his prize. It was huge, smelling of a summer garden, its orange hue so bright it practically sang. Hopper opened his mouth to take a big bite when, boing, the carrot bounced and squealed. Don't eat me. Hopper froze, his ears shooting straight up. You talk? He stammered. Of course I talk. And I've got a name too. I'm Clementine. The carrot replied, flapping its leaves. All magic carrots talk and have names. It glared at him with tiny eyes, sprouting skinny arms that it crossed over its carroty chest. I've never heard of anything like that, mumbled the stunned rabbit. Well, now you have. You can eat plain old carrots, but never ones like me. Got it? Hopper nodded, though he didn't really get it at all. Since you're such a quick learner, Clementine went on, I'll be nice. I'll grant you 3 wishes. How's that sound? Hopper blinked. This was getting wilder by the minute. He plopped onto the grass, scratching his head. Nothing to lose, right? He'd give it a whirl. Can you grant any wish? He asked, just to be sure. You bet, Clementine said, puffing up its orange snout with pride. Hopper thought hard until his eyes sparkled. I want a mountain of the biggest carrots in the world to eat, he blurted out. Clementine giggled, shook its leaves, and bam, a mountain sprang up. But not just any mountain. Carrots as big as trees, each one thick as an oak trunk. Dazzled, Hopper leapt at one, but his teeth just clacked against it. It was hard as rock. "Ouch," he yelped. "That's not what I meant," he grumbled, shooting Clementine a pouty look. "You asked for the biggest carrots in the world and you got 'em." It chuckled. Hopper stomped his paw. "Okay, one mistake. My next wish will be better. Give me a sack full of tiny, super soft carrots." The orange trickster nodded its leaves. Pop! And a giant sack landed at Hopper's feet. Starving, he dove in, but his jaw dropped. It was stuffed with seeds. "What's this?" he shouted. "What do you think?" Clementine snapped, sounding miffed. "Tiny carrots that haven't grown yet. My third wish has to be perfect," Hopper decided. He puzzled over it for ages, then piped up triumphantly, "I want the farmer to give me carrots whenever I ask." He beamed, proud as could be. This was it. He'd be set for life. "You sure about that?" Clementine asked, squinting its little eyes. "Totally. Enchant him so he can't say no." Hopper cried, then bolted off toward the nearby farm run by a bear, not waiting for a reply. He arrived, puffing out his chest, and called, "Hey, bear, give me a whole crate of carrots for free, and another tomorrow and every day after that." The bear, big and shaggy, turned with a scowl. "What? Are you joking, you cheeky little fluffball? Get lost!" he roared. But just then, out scampered his daughter, a little bear cub with twinkly eyes. She spotted Hopper and squealed, "Daddy, what a cute bunny! Please, can I keep him as my pet?" The bear, tough as he looked, had a heart as soft as marshmallows for his daughter and could never say no. He sighed, and before Hopper could twitch a whisker, the cub scooped him up, giggling, and carried him to her room. She plopped him onto a doll's bed, then dug out a pink dress dripping with lace and frills, stuffing Hopper into it. "Oh, you're adorable," she cooed, clapping her paws. Hopper's ears drooped like wilted leaves. Meanwhile, the bear trudged in, grumbling about pesky rabbits, and dropped a crate of carrots beside him. "Well, I got my wish," Hopper thought glumly, but not how I pictured it. The cub wouldn't leave him alone. First, she threw a tea party, propping him at a tiny table and shoving a teacup into his paws. It toppled over in a flash. Next, she wheeled him around in a doll stroller so fast his head spun like a top. Then she grabbed paintbrushes and dabbed his ears pink, giggling, "Now you're my princess." Hopper endured it all, plotting his escape. Luckily, the cub finally tired of her new toy. When she drifted off, cuddling a teddy instead, Hopper kicked off the dress and slipped out through an open window. He raced back to his burrow and flopped onto his mossy bed, sleeping like a log. At dawn, still ruffled, he hopped to the clearing to face Clementine. You tricked me," he huffed, stomping his paw. Clementine chuckled. "Didn't you get carrots? You did. What's the fuss?" Hopper slumped on the grass, hungry and mopey. He thought of the bear's endless carrot fields and gulped. His eyes landed on the sack of seeds still lying nearby, and suddenly a brilliant idea sparked. "I've got it," he squeaked, jumping up. Off he dashed to his pals, Graytail, Patches, and Scruff. "Listen up," he said. "Let's start a carrot patch. I've got seeds and the clearing's huge. We'll plant, water, harvest, and eat till we're stuffed." "Us? A patch?" Graytail blinked. They mulled it over, then nodded. Why not? They got to work with gusto. digging rows and sowing seeds. Hopper even rigged a watering system using an old can and a stream. Soon the clearing bloomed into a veggie paradise. Carrots poked out of the soil, joined by radishes and even cabbages. Forest critters watched in awe. Hedgehogs peeked curiously, squirrels paused to gawk, and the fox once muttered, "Those floppy-eared rascals aren't half bad." Clementine stopped teasing Hopper. Seeing his pluck, she'd toss him tips about growing, like watering at sunrise when the dew sparkled. One day, after a busy afternoon, Hopper sat munching a carrot and grinned. "You know, Clementine," he said, "working with friends beats any magic trick." Clementine just rustled her leaves in agreement. The forest rang with rabbit laughter as their patch thrived. Hopper learned that the sweetest joys, like a crunchy carrot, come from teamwork and a bit of sweat, not from wishes dropped in your lap. And so, with his pals by his side, he nibbled happily ever after. The end.